Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Yay.
All right. Nice
Sorry
work.
that took so long, Susie. I am making you the host.
Make Jim the host.
Jim.
Yeah, when he gets here.
Okay, make George the host.
Okay.
Why don't you want to be the host, Susie?
I've never done it before, and I don't know the buttons to push. So.
I can, yeah, that I have done that before.
Yep. And there's
I'd be
Cheryl.
okay with it.
Thank you.
Oh, wait. I think, Susie, you have to make George the host at this point.
All right. And what do I do, George? Do you know?
Grace will tell you.
She might
All right.
do
So click on the participants button on the bottom of your screen to open the side window.
that. Yeah.
All right. If you hover over George's name.
It's not opening that up. Let's see.
Oh, wait. I think I can do it.
Oh, I got it. Oh, I see him. And more for George. Pin. No, not pin.
Well, Jim's here now.
Okay, I've made Jim the host.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
All right.
And Jim can't complain because he's muted.
Exactly.
All right.
It's perfect. Let's just wait for him to unmute.
I'm muted and I'm off video. I'm off everything.
Totally
Okay,
checked
let me,
out.
okay, there we go.
And you're also host.
Oh, I'm host? Okay. All right.
All right. So you guys should be all set.
Who is this?
Thank you, Grace.
Grace,
Who is
would
this
you?
person down here? Is this a separate meeting host or
Yeah, that's also me.
That's a ghost.
that's you? Okay.
So, Grace, would you do us a favor, another favor? Favor number 675? Grace, would you contact Becky and see if she'll send us the updated budget?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Grace.
All right. I'm here if you guys need me back.
Thanks, Grace.
All right. Take care. See you at town meeting.
Oh, my gosh. Good morning, all.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
Jim.
It's still morning.
Yeah.
Only took us 30, 40 minutes to get this going.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. It's gonna be well worth it.
Okay, I just remembered that we don't have a link for tomorrow night's meeting, so I'm gonna send an email while we're talking, so I don't forget. And so where do I?
Yes, that's important. So when you were at the website, huh, you saw it on the calendar. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you gonna send it to Becky? Is Becky around this week or is she?
I think she is. I'll send it to Becky and Grace.
Yeah, look at that. Huh.
What are you looking at?
That there's
If
no
you go to the
link.
calendar, if you go to the meeting calendar at shutesbury.org, usually the link to the meetings are within the agenda, and they're not. That was true for this meeting, and I'm seeing what
Yeah, it's a
Susie.
two-step. It's usually a two-step process. I think Becky or Grace are the only ones that can put the links in. So I usually start by entering the agenda, and then it's usually Becky that goes in and puts in the link. Because again, like I say, Becky and Grace are the only ones that have that ability to set up links.
Yeah, yeah.
And usually, usually Becky does it a couple of days in advance.
Yeah, she just does it automatically. I've never seen a link not there. I've never seen those meetings without a link.
But it's not automatic. It takes effort, and stuff is happening now, and it got off her screen. So
Yeah, she was just distracted.
she was, yeah. Okay, now we go. So I have my copy of the draft that we.
Is
were
that the
working
one
on.
that George updated? Because what we did is I sent one out based on our last meeting,
Okay.
and then George did an update of it.
Okay, I don't think I have the update one. So
I've done
why
an
don't we just have
update.
George put his up on the screen?
Yeah, why don't I? Because I updated it,
Again.
taking out the $11,000 that we
Okay.
had increased
All
the
right.
fire department.
Let me
So,
print
Want me to take the
mine.
screen?
Yeah, you
Sure.
should be able. I think I just gave you access.
Yep, you did. I'm going to show you a couple things that I did. So here's the report. I made a lot of changes to it, so we just need to make sure that the other
Sure.
changes we had talked about are also incorporated.
Yep.
So the new budget comes in at 11,000 subtracted from this number here. So here's the budget we were all working on in our last FinCom meeting. So when you take 11,000 off that, you end up with 6,099,000. Well, 6,699,225. Basically 6.7 million. It rounds to 6.7 million. Is that right?
I didn't
Yeah,
see
it's
that.
just a tad under 6.7.
Yeah, just a tad, a couple $100. So,
Yeah.
so this is what I've got for total budget expenses. I'm going to come down here. So I updated this chart. The only thing I needed to do was decrease the fire and police by 11,000. And down here, I eliminated the fire department. So on the expense side, that was the only change I think we needed to make. These are the main items.
Wait a minute, I'm having trouble here. So can we,
And I don't have the budget. Until I have the budget, we're going to have to double check this and make sure these numbers all tie out to the budget. But
so, can you show me the last page of the operating budget thing again, so I can understand where you're coming from?
yes, in
There-
fact, here, let me show you. See my calculator?
Yeah,
So the budget is this minus 11,000.
okay. Let me write.
Our budget is 6 million. And you can take a screenshot of this too, Susie. No, you can't. Okay.
So in the draft we hadn't adjusted any of those numbers. So this, okay, so now I see why my numbers aren't coming close. Okay, 6, 7, 10. Okay. All right, good. So now I'm on the right page, buddies. Now you can go back. Okay.
So I jumped to expenses only because that's the easy part. The police number is now, fire police is now lower by 11,000. And again, I eliminated, we had a line showing that we increased.
Yep, I remember
And
that.
that's gone.
Right.
So I also.
So you increased what?
Increased we had $11,000 increase to maintenance, but we've since removed that at our last meeting. So the fire department maintenance line doesn't change year to
Okay.
year. So I deleted the increase.
Gotcha.
So if you look at these, and again, I should do the math, they're not going to tie out exactly to change, but we're showing a budget increase of $62,000, and let's verify that number. Oops. Let's verify that number.
Yeah.
So 83 minus 11 is 72.
No,
So
no,
it's a
no,
s-
no, 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 time out. The, well, 83. No, okay, yeah.
It should be
That's a bigger,
72.
that's a bigger number than we were looking at. Okay, so that brings us down to 72,000.
Yeah, so this is 72,000. I had the wrong thing in there.
Yeah,
I don't know why. And it should be it says here 1.25% increase. I'm just going to check that real quick. 662 divided by 6628, 628 being last year's expenses. And it's a 1% increase. It's a 0.09. It's a 0.9% increase. Let me do that one more time, just to be careful.
now you use 62, don't you need to use 72?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Did I
Yeah.
do that again? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Good catch. That makes more sense because that number seemed low to me. So 62 divided into 6680, it's a 1.1% increase. So I expect when Becky sends us the budget that this 125 is going to be 1.1.
Okay. Yep.
So let me get that on our schedule. 1.1. There we go. All right, let me save this. All right, and then the only other, so does that, the other thing I did was I figured out what the COLA salary increase was. I knew what the market alignment increase was. So I went back and added up all the salary increases, and I just subtracted the 30 from that and came up with 17 as the total COLA for the
Okay,
town.
okay, that makes sense.
This number can't be right though. Total employee salary increases excluding the library, excluding the schools. God, my brain
Yeah,
is
I know.
47.
Okay, right.
Yeah, we had last year's number in there.
Yeah,
And then, after we're done, we should all, once we get the budget from Becky, is just go through and check these numbers.
right.
But what I can tell you is what we have is a budget increase of 72, rubbish increased by 60, salaries by 47, elementary school, retirement, assessors, and then subtract from that 64,000 for the region and 25,000, and we get 53. So of the 72 increase, we're showing about 53 of it. And the things that we don't have in here,
Hmm.
I'm not sure what they are.
The less significant ones, so are there some in treasurer? Some in tax collector?
Yeah, are there any others that maybe should be included? Let
Or,
me go.
or not, but,
Yeah,
where,
we just need to be able to say what they are.
right,
If somebody asks, we can say, well, there's a lot of little things.
Mhm.
So I'm looking here, and all the increases I'm seeing are in salary lines so far. We included in our schedule the $9,000 for the valuations.
right. And the phone for the treasurer, where's that? That must be under expenses. They went up 830.
Yeah, that's probably a part of this. 39 for the treasurer. Well, we're only increasing the budget by $29.
See the expense.
Oh, you're talking this right here. I see. Yep.
Yeah. And
And here you go. And then we got longevity bonus for Ellen. That'll be part of it.
right, because that's not in the personnel number, right? No.
Right. Got an increase in the registrar's office. So there are, a number of minor increases.
It's just wondering if we got them all. There's $1,000 increase on the equipment maintenance. Wait a minute, what was that?
It was electricity.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, we got small increases in supplies. And this maintenance no longer exists. So the increases in the highway, there was $1,400 in the highway department in increases, 1,200, 200.
Mm-hmm.
We got another 833 in ambulance service. So these are things that just weren't significant enough to report on their own,
Right.
but they're there. They exist.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'm going to make a little to-do list. And so I'm going to check the significant ones we have in case any of the math is not accurate, but otherwise we think it is.
Yeah, this is a good depiction of the big items. Really, anything over $5,000.
And
Yeah, anything that was material on its own.
yeah.
I'm going to check those salary numbers again too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, that's one I was wondering about.
It's a pretty big increase relative to what we've done in the past, though. I'll tell you that. So I'm comfortable with
Does
it.
the
but I
market
will check-
alignment, was that your original market alignment number, or does that include library?
That's the recent market alignment number. Here, I'm going to show it to you. So the market alignment is 37,359.
Yeah.
Let me grow this. Let me grow this.
Mm-hmm.
It's broken up between COLA and the market alignment. So I'm showing 30 for the market alignment, and this 7,000 is included in the 17,000 COLA.
Okay,
So,
You don't want to see the weather report. Okay, there we go. So this 30,000, that's where that came from, Jim.
okay,
And again, all other salaries added up to 47. So 7,000 of this market alignment was for those 9 people who are getting market alignment adjustments, plus the rest of the town.
so in the school number in our report, it says elementary school, 13K increase. So I'm looking at our budget proposal. I mean, our budget, operating budget numbers. And, oh, I see where you got 13,000. Okay. And that's,
Yeah, it's a rounding.
yeah, yep. And that's 6%. I mean, 0.6%. Okay. So looking in that column, I'll look at that column and see if anything else jumps out.
There's one thing that we don't have on there that's $5,500, and that's the long-term bond.
Yeah, for the high school.
Yeah, I mean, I know, it's close, but
Yeah, I think it's okay. We could
I
put
do
it
too.
in if you feel like the number is coming up too short for what it's reflecting.
no, I think we're fine.
Okay,
I think we're fine.
all right.
We got another 2,000 for recreation committee again, not high enough to
Right.
point out. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think we got pretty much everything. I mean, there's some decreases too.
All right, we'll go for the next box, number 2.
Okay, so, and then, I updated the pie chart, so that's what it looks like. But it shows our,
I got Becky on the phone. Hi, Becky. I'm on. Yep, we're on. Sorry. Yep, we're on. Do you? Okay, we're on. Do you need to be on? Do you need to be let in? Okay. Yeah, and the other piece is we need a link for Tuesday's meeting. I just sent that out. And then George wanted to know if we can get the most updated operating budget. You're sending that? You're in the meeting. I see you. Okay,
Yep.
bye.
in fact, I think this number here may not be right. So I
It should
think
be
I
a
just
tad under
rounded.
it should be a tad under 6.7, right? Just that
Yeah, that's,
Like,
what-
like-
yeah,
$400 lower, roughly.
yeah, 225 lower, I think. But yes, yeah, I think this number's not right. I think I just took 11,000 off the last one, but there was other adjustments in the budget, which I didn't have because I didn't get that final budget. So anyways, so I'll update this and send it out after this meeting. But it's going to be close to what we're seeing. This is very close to what it is. It's within a few $100, maybe $500, $600.
Okay, I see why. All right.
And then the other thing I did, and this will also be subject to change by a minor amount, because again, this number right here is probably not right. But I updated I decreased the residential and commercial tax by $11,000 from the last time we did this. Because we won't have to fund that 11,000 for the fire department. Hi, Becky.
Hi.
Right.
So this is probably going to change slightly, but this is what I have. And then I took
Yeah.
the new, if you add up these 3 numbers right here, they add up to 5,383,000, which is $11,000 less than what's
Okay.
on here,
Okay,
because that'll go down by, and then I divided it by this number,
okay,
the assessed value of the town. And so estimated tax rate next year will increase to 2216, which is a 1.5% increase.
okay.
George, can you go right to the top and change update? Do you want to use today's date so that we just keep these revisions?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
So I thought we came up with 1.1, but that wasn't the tax increase. That was something else. When you did
That was the revenue increase. That's this line right here, Susie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I'll check that number too. I think it still is. I don't think $11,000 is going to change it.
Okay, no. All right.
So anyways, this graph is pretty close to accurate, but it's slightly high. Once I get the budget, I can change this. And again, I'll send this out to everyone. But
Okay.
this is what it's looking like right now. It's basically, what is that, 17? It's a 33-cent increase on our tax rates. Pretty small. And actually, I almost don't like this number. It's deceiving because our tax rate goes up by 1.5%, but really the new tax that we're
Right.
increasing our tax to the taxpayers is really 1.1. So I know we've had this here in the past, but I don't know if it's really something we need.
And when the valuation changes, it's going to change dramatically too.
Why don't we
It's
just
gonna go-
leave it off?
Go
Yeah,
down.
is there, speaking to that, Becky, there was a chance that Kevin might have had an updated estimate for town evaluation. Is there such a thing, or we're still not there?
He said he wouldn't give us a number till this late summer.
Okay,
Let's just take that out. That's good.
It's gone. Okay, so here you go. I don't know if this is gonna change. It probably won't, but this number will change.
Mhm.
Everything else I think will stay the same. And then this number will change. And I don't think anything down here will change. It's just this
Mhm.
number in here is not accurate.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I think everything else will be the same. So these I think are pretty much done then, right? If we go back up here, we're showing just the allocation of the revenues based on the totals, and I'll tie all these out to the budget,
Mhm.
but no, we didn't change the pilot number. We didn't change the total receipts number. We didn't change the state's estimate. Since the budget we received from Becky on May 4th, so
Mhm.
which is out, these are all updated for. The only thing that changed from that is the 11,000, which changed here. So if you're okay, we can move on.
Yep. Yep. On number 2, where it says larger projected, I would like it to say notable instead of larger, because there's increases and decreases. So larger tends to lean towards one other idea. Okay.
Now, actually, I don't know that I went back to this, net tax levy used FY20. I have a question for Becky. Becky, one thing I noticed, this number here, total tax levy from page 1 of the recap. The recap has 5,303,000, not 5,288,000.
George, I was looking at that and I've been searching for where I got the original number, because I printed out the recap after you said that and found that, but I haven't yet
Okay,
figured out where I picked up. So that it's what, like $15,000 different?
Yes. Yeah, I think it is 15.
So I've been trying to figure out the source, which I didn't crack yet.
Okay. So I don't know, when I look at this, I don't think I've updated this for, let me look. So net tax levy used in FY23 budget. So the increase in the tax levy, let's look and see if that is a correct number. The increase in the tax levy, I'm drawing a blank right now. That's the difference between the one, well, would that be this number here?
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, so the tax levy increase is 145. And we've got the excess levy capacity changing. So let's just look at those two numbers. So 155 right there. And then the levy increase, the excess levy increase is 55. I need to add 11 to that, right? So now it's 66.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a gorgeous place. Yeah.
I don't know where I got 92 from.
It's probably a few revisions ago.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. And there's not a percentage on it. So I don't know what the percentage is. I'll have to calculate that in a second. But so 145 minus 66, 79,
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's hard.
right?
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I'm doing something else, George. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So I see your math. What is the point about having both lines there? Because it says, this is what's used, this is what is, I think number one should say available or something, but it's not, we don't want people to think both things happened. And really what happened was in A, not one, not
Right.
A1.
Right.
So I don't know how to reflect that, but I think we should.
So you're thinking we should drop 1 and 2.
Yes, or say in number one, available tax levy increase or whatever, and then 2. But I personally think people don't really pay attention to 1 and 2, or it adds to the confusion. I think A would be sufficient.
And so the purpose of 1 and 2, of course, is because they tie directly to the budget that everybody's going to have out in front of them.
Or not, because they may use this report as a way of seeing what's going on. I do.
So, no, that's true. Yeah, I'm Switzerland on this one. It's whatever everybody else thinks works for them. For me, as an accountant, as a finance guy, I like this level of detail, but what's best for our audience? I'll let other people make that decision.
It could be that number A1 says available tax levy,
I don't know. What does that
2.5%
mean?
increase.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
You don't know what
What available? What do you mean by available?
So this is the argument that Bob always starts off with. He doesn't want the tax levy increase of 2.5 even written down, because it's what, in fact, we only use 79,000, not 145,000. He always focuses on 1. He doesn't focus on A.
I'm okay with that.
You're
I'd
okay.
be curious to hear what Becky thinks about that. What are the town voters going to think? I mean, do they care? When they look at the revenue sheet, they're not going to see 79. And so they say, where did you get the 79 from? We're going to have to tell them that it's the 2.5 increase minus the portion of the 2.5 increase that we did not actually need to balance the budget. And then we can just tell them 145 minus 66.
Yeah.
Well, so maybe that's what 1 and 2 should end up saying. 145 minus 66.
Well, that's what they do say. Tax levy increase, change to excess levy. We could make it increase to excess levy capacity. Well, a change to excess levy capacity increase $66,000. So we are saying, plus minus, although people looking at this won't, people don't know what this is. It always requires explanation.
Right. I guess I feel like there is a pushback on the idea that 2.5 just keeps increasing. Our use of taxpayer money. That's what Bob argues about. But what we could just do is say, available, 2.5 levy increase available, 145, used 66. Yeah, used 60, we only,
We did.
No,
79.
yeah, yeah.
That's what this says. Tax levy used, net tax levy used, and if I don't know, is
Yeah,
79.
I think we do need to explain it because really when people are looking at their,
Okay,
at their
maybe-
revenue sheet, they're gonna see the two numbers down below.
maybe
Well, how
we
about
should
if I-
switch it and make number 1 A, and then what happens is A and 2. The first step is what we have available, and then what happens is the net that's used and the net that remains. So what about that?
Yeah. I view it differently. I see it as, here's the change in your tax levy, 79, and it's made up of these two components, the tax levy increase less the change to the excess levy capacity.
Yeah, I support that.
I might
Well,
even take,
can we put 1 and 2 as one sentence?
sure,
Just figure out how to word it.
tax levy,
See, it's not
tax levy
exactly.
available. This is where you want your available word.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a 2.5% increase of what, yeah, and then less the change to the excess capacity equals this. I don't know.
Less the change to the excess capacity. It's just confusing as hell. Tax levy available 2.5 increase is
Mm-hmm.
145, comma, less the change to excess levy capacity.
Well, actually, is it less the amount used in the budget? And then it equals the change in the excess levy capacity?
Yeah, I think, and then we put excess levy capacity in brackets is what I was thinking.
Mhm.
I was kind of wondering what the right wording would be. I was thinking the same thing. I was just searching for the wording. Okay, so let's try something here. So less the available portion not needed.
Well, the 66,000 is the change,
Yeah,
the increase of levy capacity.
Right, so to fund the budget. So let me put it this way.
right.
And so
Equal.
total levy of 140, less the available levy
Mhm. Yeah,
needed
yeah,
to fund the budget,
right.
which is excess
that-
levy capacity.
And so 2 would just be excess levy capacity, or do we need to say equals less excess? No, there just is an excess levy capacity.
Well, the available levy needed, less
Mm-hmm.
the available levy needed to fund the budget.
Yeah, equals the excess levy capacity.
Oh, well, there's a big mistake here.
Okay.
Got to put that in. Less the available levy not needed to fund the budget.
Okay,
That's what the increase, that's.
yep.
Or added to the
Or
excess
add-
levy capacity.
Adds to, it adds.
Adds to, yes. Okay, I like that. Adds to the excess levy capacity.
And then I would put the bracket on the outside of 66K, right? It's part of how you define that.
No, because less the available, look at it this way. You would say the available increase 145, less the available levy not needed to fund the budget 66. And you notice the 145 is not in brackets. So I would say keep
Okay.
it like this. Jim, Becky, break the tie.
Am I still there?
Yep.
What do you think of that sentence under number 1?
I like it.
I think it works. I think for these kind of presentations, you just want to minimize the amount of words that are used, because the more words, the more complex it gets.
Yes.
You want to use a lot of keywords so that the message gets out there. But I'm okay with it.
So basically, we're saying the net tax levy used in FY23 is 79,000. And it's made up of the total levy available of 2.5, which is 145, less the available levy not needed to fund the budget, 66.
Can we take out that second available and it will still make the same sense? Yeah,
Did it make,
I think it still makes sense.
Yes.
I wonder if there still should be after the words fund the budget equals excess levy capacity. No, it doesn't equal it. Excess levy capacity, come on.
Well, you know what? Let's throw this by the finance committee tomorrow night and see what they think of it.
Okay,
I mean, let's see what the other members, when they read it,
yeah,
does it resonate? Does
Okay.
it like, oh yeah, makes perfect sense, or they're all going to be confused?
only one. Okay, new growth.
So new growth is only 10,000, huh?
Yeah,
that's our only estimate. But it does seem like there's new houses going up.
It just seems so low to me.
well, and so when
It
we're talking, it can be, it may change. These are estimates.
Well, last year we started at 10 and we ended up at 18.
Maybe we should put the word estimated. Oh, it says projected up above.
Right.
Where did we plug in 10 here? Because that's what we used for last year's.
Well, because that's all that Kevin could come up with at that, early on in the game. So.
Okay, all right. So Kevin's input, he has updated input for this fiscal year.
Yeah, this is his number.
Yeah, okay.
And it's what we're using in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's what we used last year, but with the tower going up down in off of Wendell Road, and I don't know, I just felt like it should be more.
But the tower's not going to be that much because it's not, it only has one carrier now, and the carriers are where you make your money.
Okay, all right,
So,
okay. Now we move on then.
Okay, so 3 are those the current? Yep, they are.
Did you stop sharing, George?
Oh, did I?
I think so.
Oh, apologies. Let me do it again.
The report. Mhm.
I guess we're recording, right, Becky? We do record this
Yeah.
meeting?
Yep.
Yep.
It said that. at the beginning.
All right, so I want to show you something. Give me a second here. All right, so for the next section, cash reserves. Jim emailed this to Becky and CC'd us. This is the one, Jim, where it has the library funding, the way.
Yeah, this is all exactly the numbers that we came up with at our last meeting, George. But I cleaned it up a little bit just so that for a meeting for Wednesday night to
Yep.
make it a little bit more understandable, readable for this
This was
audience on
very
Wednesday.
helpful.
I'm sorry?
Yep. This was very helpful.
And I added a second tab there just for that
Oh, okay.
purpose.
Right, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because we're going to need all this information for section 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah,
So to that point, here's our starting balances. Those are our current balances. I know
Okay.
this number is rounded, but we're
Yeah.
rounding over here anyways.
Yep, we are.
So we've got 2,000,001 broken out this way. That's number 3 is easy.
Capital stabilization is
Yeah.
right and free cash is right.
looks
and-
good.
it better be easy.
Yeah.
If anything's easy, it should be that one.
Yeah,
Yes,
really.
exactly.
Mhm.
So then we have number 4.
Yeah, we got a couple of well, at least one discrepancy here.
Oh, do we? All right,
Well,
so
well, maybe not.
Fire,
Maybe not.
fire
Um,
truck,
What are the
fire
cruisers, the
vehicle.
2 cruisers?
They added up to 99, so the other, police, fire
Okay.
SUV was supposed to be, yeah, 45.
Okay, so we're good. We're good then.
highway truck is 225, the engineering is 60. Those all tie out.
Yeah, one
Then
other,
the-
just for your information, George and everybody, I did make one change here. It's the only change in the FinCom status column. I changed library to approved.
Yep.
That was
Yep.
still pending.
Yep, makes total sense.
Yeah.
Good.
Bob
So this is-
ignores the 10 years that he voted against it at every capital plan meeting
Right,
and says that it's never been entertained by capital planning. Then what was he voting on for 10
Yeah.
years?
yeah, really.
I don't know.
Well, that's, yeah. Yeah,
So down at the bottom, we've got this cash. Now you can see all these items sync up here.
So doesn't the library go in this section too, and we're gonna explain it in another section?
Yeah, I think yes.
So we need a G.
well, we do have a placeholder for it.
No, I'm talking the
Now that
report.
it's pending,
Oh, yeah.
Can you call it new library building, please? Okay. And that adds up to from the capital.
Well,
spend-
if you go to the, that next tab, the library project details tab, it has all the details there.
Mhm.
right? So this one's a really curious one. I don't know. Yeah, it's, if you look at how we broke out the others, I can't see it. There we go. If, we can't write all these things in here.
Why
So
not?
I'm wondering if we should just put in the total amount that we're financing
Yep.
and then have a footnote that says,
Well,
see
not a,
library section 8.
yeah, okay.
All right.
Or I was wondering if the two things that need explanation should come before this summary of number 4.
What do you mean?
You mean the details of
The
the
two-
funding?
The two items, the new library and the school roof, could be talked about, and then number 4 would be viewed as the summary of the capital expenses recommended. It's kind of the meat of the matter to have the explanation pieces, especially because we're being chastised for not dealing with stuff. So
Yeah, I think it should come, in my opinion, it should come right after 6.
I
after
tend to agree
6,
with that because the purpose of 3, 4, and 5 is to really show the high level of our finances of the town. And
Mhm.
then we can delve into the key pieces and give them their own section below, almost like footnotes to the bigger picture.
okay, either way.
So I tend to agree with, I think I agree with Jim on this one.
Okay, so what do we put under G?
So
It's in the tab that he has. the project detail.
No, you really can't because
Okay, it's-
under other, there's a lot of the state funding.
well, this is a draft that I put together already, so
okay,
this
No,
is going to be a
if you go-
footnote to what's
George,
above.
why don't, just for a second, go to the next tab on your spreadsheet. All right, so the highlighted items, or the orange items, it's 1.8 million is what the town needs to come up with.
yeah,
That's the number that we're looking to come up with at this town meeting. Is
Right,
one,
that-
is
That'd be the
1.8,
number.
is 1.8 million.
yeah, but that wouldn't be number 4.
Why not?
Wait a second, what,
Because these are warrants for what we as a town need to fund, right?
Yeah, I think, this is Finance Committee warrant article, capital expenditures recommended. We need to recommend funding for 2.4, don't we? This number here.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's the number that goes here.
Well, okay, about 500,000 of that, a little over 500,000, 600,000 of that has already been approved. Has already been approved and funded.
Oh, that's true. There's 6 different sources of funding, 7 different sources when you include the state, 8 when you include the debt. So, let's just show what Shutesbury has to come up with. And then down here, we'll show the breakdown of that.
Right, so it's not
Um,
2.4, it's not 2.4.
Okay,
It's
6.4.
free cash, the capital stabilization, the stabilization, and the debt excluded, right? So he has those orange ones somewhere. That's the 1.8.
1.8. Yeah, that's the number I think we need to put here because you missed the big number.
You missed the one.
You missed the million.
Yeah, that makes a difference, huh?
Well,
So,
So it's from borrowing and cash reserves, I would call it.
yep. Like that.
And then
would we put borrowing, cash reserves? Would you add stabilization to that too?
Well, that's
well,
cash
that's
reserves.
cash reserves. That's all.
It's just
Yeah,
not free cash.
Yeah, I know all of us know that, but would the audience think that cash reserves here means the same as what it means above for the above projects?
I know. I just don't know if we have the room for it.
Yeah.
Well, how about leaving?
How about just
that-
putting
that says C
reserves?
below- C, yeah, reserves, that's
Maybe
good.
just put reserves because that word cash, people might
Perfect.
associate.
And then we're gonna say C number 8 below. For more details, see it number 8 below. That can just be not H, but where H goes, see below, number 8. Yeah, good. Okay, good. Oh my God.
Oops.
And we don't know what 5 is yet. And did we didn't use a year for that because we don't know if there's anything from 21. Is that right? Is that why 5 just says 22?
I don't think there are any warrant articles for that, are there?
We didn't have any in.
We'll do it on a special town meeting. Take it out.
There might be one late one added, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
We'd know tomorrow. I mean, Wednesday.
okay, cash
Well,
reserves.
And you
Okay.
still have time to do it. So let us know, Becky, if that does happen. Okay,
I-
I know you will.
There are going to be some reserves changes.
Reserve changes?
What,
No.
what George just erased out.
No, he was talking about bills from prior years.
We don't have any?
Not now that we know of. Maybe
Okay, so we'll just keep that out. And then, and if we add it, I would add it lower down.
But
Lower
I have to
down.
verify it.
And if we do verify it, I would add it lower down after all of the capital.
You know, I wonder if it's even worth, I wonder if we even want to mention it because unless it's $10,000. I mean, if it's a $359 maintenance bill,
maybe it'd come out of FinCom's reserve.
well,
It can't.
Okay.
It has to be paid
Okay.
prior years.
voted on town floor.
Okay,
But
all right.
my point is, if it's not material, if
Let's
it's
not put it in
if
there.
it's less than $3,000, why even mention it?
Right, because we didn't mention a lot of other $3,000 things.
Yeah.
All right.
Nobody's gonna
Now,
kill
what
us.
does number 5 say?
So number 5, going back to this schedule that Jim had sent us, ties out here.
Oh, yeah.
So if we do all these things in number 4, then this is what we end up with. And you'll notice, so before we go anywhere, cash is 458.
Oh,
capital
time
stabilis-
out. Time out. The roof is included in that 834.
It
Yeah,
says
well, I got a
that.
footnote on that.
Says that.
Okay,
I was going to get to that, Jim.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
yes, that's important to note. And, all this talk
Because that's the
about,
first, Yeah,
And there's an asterisk that says this amount assumes the school roof grant is rejected.
There's
So-
two things. Yeah, if you read the title, I adjusted the title. to
perfect.
say-
Yeah,
Right? And
perfect.
then I got the footnote. So
Right.
this is worst case scenario. And I think we need to just point that out to people as we're going through this. These are our most conservative estimates. When we get down to the library, you'll also see the fundraising continues and the
Yeah.
borrowing amount for the library will decrease to some extent, but we're using the worst extent in our analysis.
And I wouldn't use the word worst. I would say it's the most responsible or the most aware, or, I mean, I think it's the most responsible. It's that the FinCom plans to take care of the town's needs, all of them. And so I would
All
say
of what?
all the needs that come up. And so I wouldn't use the word worst case. It's that we are being the
It's our most
most
conservative
responsible.
estimate.
Yeah, I think conservative is,
I think people relate to the word conservative.
I think conservative is the right word.
Good,
It's the
all right,
word
fine.
for it.
The other thing I would say is, oh, I had a thought. Well, whatever, it'll come back later, whatever. Okay,
Mhm.
sorry. Yeah, so, oh, the other thing I was gonna say is, I don't know if we want to say this on the town floor or not, but we might be pressed to. The finance committee's job is to fund the requests that come to us.
Yeah.
If the situation arose where we didn't think the town could fund the projects, then we would make the recommendation that something needs to be dropped. That's not where we are this year. We don't necessarily say it the way I'm saying it now, but after doing this analysis, we feel, the message I want to send is, we feel like we can adequately fund all these and still leave the town in a good financial position.
Right.
That's,
I think that's an important point. I think that's an important point, and I think somehow
I think we
during
have
that
to say it
discussion.
on town floor. I don't think we want to put it in this report, but I do think, Jim,
Yeah,
when going,
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it in here.
Right.
But I think, and then we need to get into that we still, and we believe that because we still are in the range, cash level ranges that we feel we need to be in.
Mhm.
yeah,
We'd like to be more.
You know,
Right.
as
So-
well as, we'll get into this down below when we get
Right.
into the library.
Right.
Into the
And the other
library
thing-
details.
and the other thing to consider is, when these things are approved, special funds are set up and the money is moved into these. But the borrowings and the actual use of these cash reserves may not actually happen. Well, the borrowing won't happen for another couple years. The projects won't be done. We'll be generating free cash in the course of those 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that's part of our report. One thing I want to say is on this one, in number 6, where it says A, the school roof part 2, we need to also say C, number 5 above, because it's already listed as an item that's being addressed. So it's not just, a question mark. There's a path. That whole idea that we've made a path, and then some people say, well, you say you're going to do that, you could change it. We just ignore that shit. So 6A, we should add C, number 5 above. Maybe out there after FY23, because we're talking about it. 5 above. Or just, yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah,
We could actually move the second part of the parenthesis out to the end of C5 above, don't you think? Because it's part of FY. It's part of what 5 is. 5 is FY.
All right, say that again, please.
So on line A, we're out there where it says parenthesis FY23. We could take that next parenthesis and put it on the outside of C5 above, because that's where they're going to see it. It's in the FY23 number plan, which is
C5 above, you lost me when you said that.
So I keep moving my cursor, it doesn't help. So the end parenthesis where it says FY23, take that end parenthesis off and put it out at the end of the line. Because it's
Oh,
the
okay.
FY23 thing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Let me ask, I have a procedural question, a general, not so much for this meeting, but a general regarding the roof. So the next step on the roof, assuming the 60,000 gets approved for the engineering,
Mhm.
as soon as it gets approved, we'll go off and we'll get that engineering work done.
Mhm.
And then there will be proposals.
Yep.
And then would the capital planning team review those proposals and look at what is
Does it go
proposed?
back to
And
cap plan?
yeah. And then the cap plan approves the project. You know, I'm just being theoretical here.
Yeah.
Or hypothetical, and then they approve it, and then we as a finance committee meet to,
Well, all of this be like in September, and the cap plan could do it pretty instantaneously because they know this is coming. But yeah, does it have to go through their window or through their process?
yeah, I guess that's my question, because that is the way
I would think no.
you would
Did the
think,
last
no?
one?
No, the last one did not.
Right.
The roof has been a discussion point for 10, 15 years and has support from everyone. There's no question about whether it's going to be approved or not. But you're right, we did that with engineering but we've never so basically by approving the engineering, you're approving, you don't just approve engineering, you approve the project.
Mhm. Right. And they've already approved the engineering, and we didn't do this for the gym roof. We didn't go backwards and then forward. So let's just not go down that road.
What do you think of adding the dollar amount for the roof in this?
We're not committing it at this town meeting.
No, we're not, but this note says cash reserves if all warrant articles were passed and school roof funding is approved at a special town meeting. We're
Here's
saying
the-
that, Becky, so it shows that we can
Yeah,
fund
then
the
you should show
library
it.
and the roof.
Yeah, you should show that then.
So actually, look down below. If we have 750K in 5 and we have 700 in 6, should we change something? $50,000, I'll take it.
I'm sorry, say that again?
See, in number 5, we're calling the estimated 750K. In number 6A,
Oh,
we're
yeah, we
calling
should
it
increase
700.
that.
Yeah, because 750K is the town's number, 700 is Amanda's number.
Okay, so we're all set with that.
Yeah, and again, we're being conservative. We're using the highest estimate that has been mentioned
Right.
so far.
Yeah. And it was in the capital plan for 2 years. It's not just being lobbied as the other numbers have been lobbied.
So I think we can take the question mark after that 750K because we have an approximate sign in front of it. We have the other question mark at the grant funding, which is the appropriate place for it. All right. And then okay.
Say that again, Susie? I got to write that down. Okay.
Okay. So I think we're ready to move on. Okay. So here's.
All right. So just a real quick recap. So this is pretty straightforward. Free cash as of
Mhm,
July 21.
mhm,
These all check out.
mhm.
Fix the format. Whoops. Just want these to align. All right. They align pretty close. I guess close
Yeah.
enough.
Mhm.
All right. And then there's our cash, and it checks out right here. If we have to jump in the details, I suppose we could, but I think all these details on here are pretty much included.
Mhm.
The one thing we don't have in our free cash estimate is we're not adding anything.
Right.
Which
one
we
other
know we're
question.
going to get free cash. So the 834, another thing we should say is no, we're generating free cash in 2023. We can, 22, we can use the regional school assessment as an example, 37,000. So we know the 834 is a low number, and the 458 free cash portion is a low number.
And I don't
Okay.
think we have to do that detail here. We just know that. And Jim will say it when he's narrating the report.
Okay.
Yeah, one
thing I
question,
will-
if you could scroll up, George, on your spreadsheet. And look at the school roof line. Okay, we have 300,000 in other. Is that considered that's all ARPA?
Yes.
Oh, Becky, you look excited.
Did you see what Hadley did? Did
What
you
did
guys see? Hadley used $400,000 of ARPA money to balance their budget.
Yeah, no shit. There's lots
that
going out
crazy?
in the valley. We're looking good. We're smelling like roses compared to some of the other ones.
You know what else I was
And
reading?
What that's called? That's called new town administrator in Hadley.
Wow.
That person is a nut.
No.
The
Okay,
finance committee was complaining in the paper. There's a woman in the finance committee and said, this is dumb. He said it.
Free lunch. Yeah.
We're all gonna pay for this later. I couldn't believe it. I laughed so hard. So that tells me that the ARPA funds really have very little restriction.
Well, it says
could be
municipal
winging it.
services. So what
All right.
and you know why? They've determined that anybody getting less than 10 million can use it. They have to give the same rules as if you had lost revenue. So they're assuming that Shutesbury had lost revenue of whatever ARPA money we got, and we can use it however we want.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
And we
That's a
didn't,
good
because we
logic.
didn't have restaurants closed and we didn't have less but we'll just go with it. So, yeah, so Jim will need to know that 300,000 is totally ARPA. It's not a grant.
And it's really our hedge against not getting the grant.
yeah, exactly.
Now, so Becky, I know this is true, but just want to hear you say it. This 217 for the HVAC system and the 300 for the roof, we have these funds or will have these funds.
Well, we have the 217, it was approved at town meeting. So it was taken from capital stabilization, the 200,000, and the school came up, no, and the 17,000 came from free cash.
Oh, okay. So
But it came last year, so
but the point is, our ARPA money was over $500,000. Our ARPA fund balance, our ARPA funds available were 560 something, right?
I think it's
That's
closer to
50.
525, the more I'm looking
Okay,
into
it
it.
still fits under this 517.
Yeah, but the 217, again,
not
I mean,
ARPA.
we have not made that decision. It could be made. I don't know if it would be made before town meeting, but there's an overrun in the HVAC. We opened bids. We opened bids on Friday and had a meeting this morning. And we are going with the low bidder at 233,000 for the roof, which means we don't have that. And the only reason I'm not freaking out is because of the ARPA money.
You said for the roof, but you meant for the controls, right? You said
Even for
roof
the-
controls, okay. So
HVAC.
any
Okay.
overrun could come out of the rest of the ARPAs.
Okay. All right, then, so we're done with that section.
Mm-hmm.
We're done with this section. So now we're talking library.
Yep.
So
Right.
back to Jim's schedule,
Okay.
which is a really helpful schedule, Jim. Thank you. So according to this, the estimate is, so, and this is just stuff I jotted down. Obviously, it's all subject to change based on what everybody thinks, but I just did the simple math, the 6.4 million. I
Mhm.
took this funding that we see, the state grant, and then all these different things. I did it know how to word the land. Because it's not funding, it's not cash.
It's a credit.
No, but so I put the word credit here. What does that mean? How is that funding the 6.4 million?
Because they're giving us credit for the value of the land.
Okay,
So
Or-
of the share that we own or that we owe of the total amount, the share that Shutesbury owes, the state gives us a credit for that land, for the land.
they're basically decreasing the project cost. What does that
Yeah,
mean by
it's
giving us
I
a
think from the
credit?
state perspective, I don't think they would say the project cost is lower. I think the state would think that the library has to go on land somewhere and that land is worth something.
Yep,
So I think from a state perspective, they wouldn't say that it lowers the cost.
but but do you see my point? My point is, go Becky, please.
No, it does lower the costs because if we didn't already own it, we would have to purchase it. So we would need $100,000 to purchase it potentially. We actually paid over 200,000 for that land, for the whole parcel.
So if anybody
Um,
asks us, what's a state credit mean? What it means is that a portion of the $6.4 million is the cost of land, which we will not have to pay for. That amounts to a $58,000 decrease in that
Yeah.
cost, and we're
So
depicting it here.
maybe if you say, maybe if at the end, state credit for land value 58,000, oh shoot, I forgot about that.
57.
No, well, yeah, I don't know where it goes.
Well, it rounds to 58.
Oh, yeah.
And I did the math, by the way. All these numbers add up to 6.4.
If you say for land value 58,000 of an eligible cost. A
Credited
town
again,
eligible cost.
credited to eligible cost.
Because that's how the state views it. It's one of the eligible costs, but we don't have to.
I just don't want to give too much wording, as Jim said
You know,
earlier. The more you write down,
We'll just leave it like it is, and he'll,
Just leave it at that.
and we'll be able
Yeah, and if
to.
you look down below there, it sums up, and under the summaries, it's a combination of town funds, assets already available.
mhm. Right,
So the town funds would be that.
Yeah.
252,000. And then assets or some kind of contributions in land. Or assets that are already available.
mhm. For the dot that says library building fund, I would mention that this was voted at town meeting somehow. This is not just, this is voter approved.
Okay, people
Because
voting at town meeting every.
I'm hearing it again that, that's just the town using up, that's just a library using up more of town funds. But it was, that was a 10-year process of getting it approved at each town meeting. So I don't know how to indicate that. I don't want people to be able to try to reverse the votes that happened 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago.
For the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's certainly one of the things we have to address, and we can.
Yeah, let me, just a quick question on that. My recollection is was that always a separate warrant article, the 25,000?
No, it's a separate line item in the budget.
It was always, okay, that's how it was always done, as a line item in the budget.
Well, except for last year, we used free cash.
Yeah.
So we haven't used a separate warrant article for the
No,
roof.
don't need it. It's just like the same way we fund the capital stabilization fund. We just have it as a line item in the budget.
Yeah,
And don't need
okay.
a warrant article for
And
it.
cap plan reviewed it every time, but it wasn't separate from the operating budget for most of its life.
You think that's a bit more?
Mhm.
So,
So
Like I
with
said-
borrowing, that probably needs to be indicated as an override. Even like after borrowing, you can put override in parentheses.
well, that's down here. I mean, I can, debt exclusion.
Yeah. Because that is the recommendation too.
Right, well, and that's down here,
Yeah,
but certainly we can do that. Caps or no caps? I think I like it better without caps.
yeah.
It's not the most important point. It's an important point, but it's covered elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then borrowing. So this is what I wrote for the borrowing.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's anything else you folks would want on here. I just whipped this together this morning.
Mhm.
Why would the tax impact decrease each year?
Interest cost goes down each year as the principal balance goes down.
Oh, but how does that? So yeah, so we're paying more principal each year.
We're paying the same amount of principal each year, and then the interest cost is calculated on the new balance for each year. So as
Oh,
if people ask that question, I think that what we say is municipal financing doesn't work like your mortgages work.
okay, that's
The
what
mortgage
I'm
is a-
thinking. I'm thinking of my mortgage, and it's the same
Yeah, your
every year. And
mortgage is a fixed payment, and your principal balance that you pay each month increases and the interest you pay decreases. In municipal financing, the debt service, the principal portion is always the same, and then the interest is recalculated each year based on the new balance, which is decreasing.
and
So
is the
if we're-
interest rate, if the interest rate stays constant through the length of the,
that's another thing. The interest rate isn't necessarily constant, but
oh,
because your balance goes down by 60,000 each year, your interest cost, you can see, goes down each year. In fact, we can tell people right now, it looks like it'll decrease in the first 5 years, the first number of years, by $3,000 a year.
Maybe that bullet should say debt interest decreases every year, because that's the part that's unusual. So instead of tax impact, it could say debt interest decreases every year.
Debt interest. So you're saying debt interest decreases.
Oh, is it the interest or the interest rate? It's the interest?
Interest,
just the interest,
Okay,
because you're paying on less principal each year.
okay,
And each year, as you pay less principal, then all else being the same, your interest goes down.
okay,
Yeah.
so there we go.
I've learned something new today.
good.
It's only 11 o'clock. All right.
How did that happen?
So
It's
that
11:20 already. Wow.
Good.
Okay. So I don't know. I did the calculation. I think you all should see it. Take me 2 seconds to bring it up.
This is, okay, again, this is all new for me. I haven't gone through a debt override before, a debt excluded override. So that's a separate ballot
Process.
vote? Huh?
Yeah. It is a ballot vote on 35 days after you approve it at town meeting. So it's June 28th.
Okay, because we have the warrant, which includes,
The authorization for it.
I'm sorry?
The warrant article includes the town authorizing that override ballot. And that, to authorize an override ballot also requires 2/3. So all of those 2/3 things happen in the same vote article.
How about that? Ballot vote required will need 2/3 approval.
Yeah,
Is that the
yeah,
right way to
And
measure
that
it?
happens at some date after?
June, 35 days after the town meeting, so it's June 28th.
Is that fine the way it's written
Yep,
or something like that? All right.
Yeah.
And then I made a note about the fundraising campaign will continue and
well,
should
actually,
lower.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
That last dot, the ballot vote that's required only
Will be
needs a
required.
simple majority. To have an override requires 2/3. So I'm not sure which thing, so what will really happen is at town meeting, it's very likely everybody will walk up with their card and drop it in the box. I don't know if they actually can call that a ballot vote. It probably is called a ballot vote.
It's called a
But-
ballot election.
Ballot
When it's
option.
an election, it's not just a vote, it's an election.
Okay, so this language around ballot and vote, you're referring, George, were you thinking your last bullet there is the town meeting action or the later override?
Yeah, maybe we should put subsequent. Ballot vote required subsequent to town meeting or after town meeting,
Mhm.
or additional ballot vote required.
Well, just override vote required. You can leave off the word ballot. After town meeting, and it only requires a simple majority.
Correct.
Then maybe we don't even need to put that part in.
Yeah. I would just leave it without that part.
Right, because the warrant article 5 really has to do with everything up above that, and that is the 2/3, and we don't need to mention that because it'll be written on the article. It'll
Wow,
say requires 2/3.
I didn't know this, by the way. This is great news.
He
How do you what?
didn't
I
know
didn't
the second
realize
vote
that-
was going to be simple majority.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's the 522 to 522 problem.
That's where we tied. And this is gonna be a big vote, maybe.
Oh, it's town floors, everything now. Got everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it's gonna pass or fail.
No, well.
Well,
you
we
know,
have
there's
to
two
get through,
choices.
you have to get through town meeting
There's
first.
2 hurdles.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's override requires a
If
ballot.
it passes, if the warrant article passes, the majority vote is pretty much guaranteed. If 2/3 of the people voted for it at
No.
town meeting,
Well, that's
That's the
unfortunately what
mistake
didn't happen the
we
last
made
time.
last time.
yeah, because so many people are gonna turn out.
What's the difference between those last two bullets there under borrowing? Why wouldn't we turn those into one bullet?
Good question.
Point.
Which one do you like better?
Drop the second one.
They both look very nice to me.
Good catch. I think the other one said something a little different and we kept changing it and we made it the
Exactly.
same as this one.
Exactly. Exactly.
And when this covered it all anyways, that exclude
No.
override requires a ballot vote after annual town meeting.
And so, George, you were thinking number or letter E was going to be the calculator?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just left a placeholder for anything else that anybody else
Oh, I
thought we
see.
might want to mention. Because right now what we've mentioned is what the cost is, how we're going to fund it. We gave more detail regarding the borrowing.
Right.
And we also noted that, you know, to some extent, the 1,173,000 will be lower because of fundraising. And
Mhm.
that'll be addressed, I know, by the town, the library and the trustees and all, at all. Anything else we need to mention?
Yeah, well, what about, I mean, I'll just throw this out there. Maybe this is a question for Becky. Do we have any ideas on when that property be reassessed? The value will be reassessed?
They've been working to get an appraisal and it's been difficult. I don't know if it'll get done before town meeting. If it does, it can lower the override amount listed in the warrant article by amendment.
So this is to Jim's point. That's the same thing as D. It's the caveat
Right.
or the qualifier that the debt could be lower. So we should mention it. Although, is it material? It's probably, I don't know, the debt,
But
even,
It's only gonna be like maybe 40 grand.
well, in the fundraising, how much could that be? I mean, how
Up to
material would that
100.
be?
the fundraising won't change before town meeting. The value of the land may, and will just come up as an amendment. I don't think we need to speculate in this report on it.
Well, but I think Jim's point is, the reason we're mentioning D is we don't know how much more we're gonna get in campaign
Right.
funding between now and when the project actually goes live. The
Right.
fundraising goes on for another year.
Absolutely. D should stay, but the value of the land should not, the change in the appraisal shouldn't bother to be mentioned here, because if it changes, it'll change at, likely at town meeting.
But it'll change the borrowing amount.
Yes, and so they'll do an amendment from the floor for that.
Is that what you would do, George? You would take whatever the addition is and reduce the,
Well, as Becky pointed out,
Borrowing.
if this 58 increases, this 58 comes out of the 6.4. As this increases, the 6.4 decreases, which means we'll need less money here.
Yeah, I guess there could be somebody who wants to take out what we're using in our reserves. But
Yeah.
somebody will shape that amendment. If they decide to pick at it, they can shape that amendment, and they'll say where they think it should come out, and then the town would debate that. But let's not fuss with
So
that
do
right
you
now.
think, Susie, fundraising campaign will continue and should lower amount? Should we take out to be borrowed? Because maybe that'll just mean we need less cash reserve.
No, we can't count on it until the cash reserves have been committed. I don't know.
But that's my point, is the point you just made about if the value of the land goes up, we might not need, that's also true for fundraising. If additional fundraising just means we need to raise less money, how we raise it to be determined depending on how much it is and, depending on circumstances.
So we could leave off to be borrowed and just could lower debt amount or, yeah.
Or lower,
cost.
lower funding amount.
Yeah.
lower funding amount?
So all the lower funding amount will be 100% resolved, hopefully when we finish the project and before we go out to borrow. So after, we can keep telling people about if the number is dropping, but fundamentally, there's no action going to be taken after town meeting regarding the amount. Does that make sense?
Yes. How does that fit with the wording that we're using?
So actually it should lower funding amount needed, and then where that impacts the town gets to be discussed later.
Now, with this wording here, I just remember in one of these meetings, Mary Ann talking, and I know she raised this point with the state about they're going to continue to work on raising funding, and the state pushed back and said they needed to, I don't know, stamp or approve some number, and they had to go with the number that's out there now, that they couldn't
I
add.
gotta go to meeting. Bye.
What was that?
I have to go to another Zoom meeting.
Okay,
Well,
Okay.
happy Zooming.
thanks for coming by.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Becky.
So it's
Getting the other
Bye.
Zoom link for Tuesday.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
George, I gotta send him what I have for the final, but I'm trying to solve that.
Okay,
Cherry
Yeah, and
sheet.
Becky, you might want to get Kevin involved and let him do it so you can, have free time, but that's just that's just a suggestion. Okay, thank you, Becky.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
have a go. Susie, you probably know the answer to this. 'Cause
Oh, wait, I got,
you're using the same. You've probably heard Mary Ann talk about this too, about how we had to lock in a number.
Yeah, we locked in the 6.4, and we
Yeah.
locked in the state grant, and everything else that happens is sort of on our table to move things around. The state won't change their piece, and they won't change the estimate. So, one of the campaign aspects is saying that any more fundraising money will go to reduce the debt. And, you know, you can see that that's actually a choice that the town gets to impact, because maybe it would go towards adding, you know, replenishing free cash, or, you know.
That is the effect of it. And there is the possibility that when we find out that the library came up with another 100,000, and we might say, well, let's just leave the debt at 1.173. Let's use less stabilization, because we got something else we need to use stabilization
Right.
for.
So the sentence that's there is true. We don't know how it will lower that amount. We don't, that's a discussion that happens among the FinComs and, you know,
Yeah.
whoever else. So we just leave it at that.
Yeah. Got
So
it.
is there anything else from a financing point of view that we need to mention?
I have another thing. There is concern that this only looks at the library. The detail is the library. There's no specific detail that's for the school roof. And the thing about the school roof is that we know it has a process, and people were not aware of the process. So I wonder if number 6 should be the process, you know, a new number 7 should be the process we have in mind for the roof. The
But-
same step.
I think, you know, we cover the roof in here. We show that the roof is in our calculations. We show that we're getting better quality estimate for it. We show that we've taken it into account at its most conservative estimate funding cost.
I see that there, George. I'm just talking about the politics where the roof doesn't have its own little step, which would be roof. And it would say cost estimate, cost projected, or it might even start with capital plan recommended, get the engineering done first. Possible cost estimate would be $750, waiting to find out about a state grant, and prepared to meet the cost through blah, blah, and blah if the grant doesn't come through. I just think it needs to be bulleted the way the library is bulleted, because people don't know that we consider that process important too.
Well, a question to
Oh, we have something in 8. No, that's not 8.
a question. I would expect we want to use George's spreadsheet too during this process too, right? Are we good with that?
I don't know, because we don't need to, the whole point of this is to try to keep us from complicating things.
Yeah.
The spreadsheet's going to be as one of the documents that's available, posted on the select board page, and we can reference it. I had that down on mine that for number 6, and I don't know if it's still number 6. When we say cash reserves, if all warrants articles are passed, we can have underneath that reference reserve fund summary sheet posted on select board page.
To determine, I would say to determine design and cost, because isn't that really one of the things
Yeah.
that's held us up
Yeah,
on this? Is there's really no clarity on what really needs to be done.
No, that's good, Jim. I agree with you.
I-
I put it in. All right, Susie, keep banging them out. What else?
so then estimated let's see. Do we say it goes out to bid or just leave that out? Estimated, and
Cost range, estimated cost range.
yeah. Goes, well, so I want this to show the process. The process is the engineering study, then a bid.
Everybody, all right,
Bid,
specifically. Will go out to bid required.
um,
I don't know if we need to mention the bid.
we want to show that we know this process is coming, and we want them to know what that process looks like.
Yeah, I think there's some value in going through the steps.
Okay,
I'm not sure we need estimated cost range is really one of the steps.
Okay,
that's true.
And we've got that up above. We've got numbers plugged in up above on what we think it, and that we have estimates up above. So that's not really a step, is it, on this?
All right, I'll tell you what, though, it's not, but you know what? I think people are gonna wanna know, but there's a way to sneak it in. And
Yeah.
so FY 23. So, all right, so,
But the town meeting, the engineering study happens before the special town meeting.
that's true. Switch A and B. Yeah, because B is already approved. Well, will be approved at this town meeting. So it goes. So actually, the special town meeting comes after the bid.
how about like this?
Yep. Yep, and I would just switch,
A to C.
let's see, there's,
I think A is number one.
No, we
Yeah.
don't, oh, and just anticipated. Well, we could, yeah, you could say that, or you could just put it under.
it's gonna happen after the design and cost, the
But it is-
engineering study.
Right. His word anticipated is the word that makes it first. Or you could take it out and put it down below where it happens in line with the steps.
That's what I would do. Take anticipated out of there. Because you really want to, I think in this is what you're saying is you want to go through the steps and maybe walking them through the sequence of steps.
Yeah. And then D would be,
I would take the anticipated out of there. Because if the word anticipated,
I will. I don't know about this order. I can change the order, but it seems like this should be the last thing, right? Oops.
well, we got to mention our funding plan with or without the grant, but we don't, yeah, and that would be done before.
Grant funding potential.
And FinCom recommend, and so maybe the next one is D, and that would be the FinCom stuff. FinCom plan.
funding plan, yeah.
All right, let me go to the funding plan.
Really does depend on whether we get a grant. It changes those numbers, but this is the most conservative plan.
Well, and I think we're going to mention that in the funding plan that we have a contingency plan in the event we don't receive. Uh-oh. Okay, yeah, okay. That's the thing. I haven't updated this. All right, so. All right, so the funding plan is over here. Free cash.
This is if grant doesn't,
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, we'll have to put that on there.
funding plan, if grant doesn't,
Yeah, let me put these in and then let's talk about that. That's a good point. I agree.
Okay, so the other ones are. Oh, really? I had it at 275, but this is old.
No, that's free cash is 270. Yeah, this is the one we talked about last week.
I have it at 275. You have it at 250?
That's what I'm seeing here.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we would,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, but
wait,
your typing of number one says 250.
This is the line for the school roof.
Yes, right?
yeah.
And so free cash is 275 on that chart.
Oh, what did I write?
Yeah, you were looking at the number below for library.
I was the one who was looking at the wrong thing. I
Okay,
apologize.
Stabilization.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, touching
Sorry.
the thing. ARPA.
So ARPA.
Yeah.
That's that. What's ARPA?
American Rescue Plan. And then you should probably go ahead and call it ARPA, since we'll talk that way the rest of the meeting. And then a K. Good.
And of course, assumes no grant. I mean, how do you want to say that?
Funding
You said
plan.
potential.
If
I would
indeed,
put it,
if-
I
yeah.
would put it right in, funding plan is somewhere in there.
Or funding plan if no state grant.
Yeah, yeah,
What I wrote earlier was roof
Right.
grant is rejected. Is that a good wording or is not awarded, or what do you think?
Well, you could use that again, so it's redundant, and that would be important, I think.
Okay, so you like that wording. So state funding is not if
Well, just go ahead and copy and paste it down,
state grant is rejected.
because we don't know.
Right. All right. I think this isn't bad. I need to,
I think this is important. People need to be stepped through the process that we understand.
all right, something like that. What do you think?
Good.
yeah, I'm just, I think it's all good. I'm just wondering if we put in there special town meeting,
Fall, in fall of, or fall special town meeting, because we
Yeah.
want them to understand that this is in hand.
yeah, and anticipated install or project completion in the spring.
I don't
or-
think we can say that, because like one of the things that I realized is school projects are dependent on the school calendar. And so we don't know when it gets started. We don't know how that goes. It's
And I
just.
think what matters is the fact that we're funding it. And
Yeah.
that's
Well,
the
that we're
conversation.
Planning it, that we're planning it, and the plan includes the funding.
Okay, I'm good.
I can't, yeah, okay, I'm not going there. All right, good. I like it.
Good.
And I made a reference to it up here somewhere. C note 7 for the library, C note 8 for the school roof.
Is it 8? It is 8.
Yes.
Good.
It's right after the library.
And we
And
had
I could
another
even
one
put that
said
note here, but I already got something.
7.
So
Good, you
Bill,
did that. Good. And then, was there one more C below that was, oh no, it was above. Okay, we're all set. Good. OPEB, thoughts on the future. oh, let me see what I had for that.
Becky was here for this, but we already talked about this and these are the balances we've got. This is
Yeah.
what we talked about.
These are all up to date, George? You already plugged in?
Just the OPEB, just the OPEB number 9.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yeah, those
The
are,
track project.
The
That's
what,
under
I'm sorry, what project?
the track, the regional track.
yeah, it's got to be on here.
I think it's going under future things. What's
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
And I know that we don't have a lot of details on this. So where does it go? Is it number?
We do have details from Doug Slaughter and,
We
Well,
have
like,
debt service estimates. Yeah,
right, and we have some possibilities for funding. So it's under number, what's it called? What is upcoming potential capital projects? What are, in our new numbers, what is that numbered? Is it
I
got
don't know.
a bunch of, can you go up the chart a little bit, up the report? People, and it's there. It's number 6. It's 6.
so maybe just put in an E,
E, yep.
and that'll probably be fiscal year 24.
Well, we put the fiscal years at the back end of it. We see the ones above, they all
Yeah,
have it.
yeah. I'm just thinking that would be a future
Farther.
year project.
So it's
I think
called
it
the
goes out,
regional school track.
I think the regional school track goes out even farther.
It's somewhere in here.
No, it doesn't say here. It's the other email, the one that has the debt service chart on it.
I could try and pull that up.
Well, and I can too. So here, let me go back. Because some of these emails don't necessarily have their titles on them. So I don't know which
Yeah,
one
and
is
then
which. Oh, here it is. I bet you this one, Jim, the one you sent to us. Here you go. So the track looks like it doesn't kick in until fiscal 25 or 26.
The other part is, we should say the regional middle school roof.
Yes, no, I was going to say that too. So it looks like those things don't really become an issue till fiscal 25 or 26.
Mhm.
wasn't there was another email, I think it was forwarded by Becky since then, that they want to do a chunk. They don't want to do the whole project, but they wanted to start something sooner.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have it. I've got this one and I've got that one. I don't have any others going that are recent.
Look on. I think it's okay to say 25, or I think E should be the regional school, middle school roof and track, because they're not really separating them out. Not that. And I think we should say possible funding sources, CPA.
I think it's too
And-
far out. We just
and
say they're
fund- and cash fund reserves, or whatever we're calling it now.
but Susie, we don't address how we'll fund those with any of these because they're too far out. See,
Okay,
A, B,
all
C,
right.
and D.
Okay,
We don't talk about that except for maybe the grant funding question on the school roof. We don't address that.
okay, good.
It's too far out.
Too far out, right. We don't want to, what we don't know, we don't know.
Right.
Okay,
And we don't
know
know
that
the
it's
estimate of
coming.
dollars, so we're just gonna leave it blank.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's also one where we can use CPA funds.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's fine, the way it
okay.
is.
Highlight the cap plan history document. There will be documents, just like the past year, on the select board page, along with our report. And what I was thinking about is, when you look at the history of capital plan recommendations. It reflects that the town has been actively taking care of itself all along, not just 1 year. That chart needs to get updated. It'll show that our town shouldered the cost of the gym roof by itself, and that we're willing to do this. So I don't know if there's a place to mention that people can look at the history of capital plan recommendations.
I don't either. I mean,
Um,
it's our big message here is that we're managing. We have a capital budget. We manage our capital budget. We
Mhm.
analyze. I think people need to understand that we went through a lot of analysis this year to come up with these funding
Yeah.
methods.
We would not only recommend that, we would recommend the spreadsheet that we are using as a tool to figure this out. So I don't know where that would be, but I'm just feeling this document could refer people to those, to look further, to look more.
I think maybe that's what we do
Maybe
down
it's-
here.
Yeah,
I think you can put that in here, continue to monitor the capital plan.
and then see these documents. Mhm.
Right, available on town floor is your point.
Well, it'll be available on the select board website along with this, because we don't print anything anymore.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay.
all, people can look at that information. Thoughts on the future, maybe it would be the new A. Or where do you think it goes? Or maybe it's I.
I think it's bigger than storage of facility. I think, I like to put it on I so I don't have to change all these letters, but I think it's important because
I thought when you inserted a new one, it just bumped all the letters, George.
maybe if you set it up properly.
Okay, sorry. All right, well, maybe it should be A, not B. Thoughts on the future. Capital plan history and reserve fund summary. Documents posted on select board page.
I'm sorry, capital plan history and
Capital plan recommendation and reserve fund summary. Documents available on
Shutesbury.org.
select board. Oh, yeah, it's on the select board webpage.
I didn't know that. Susan.
Yeah, well, see, every year we try to get that up, especially as COVID came, we made sure it was all available electronically. To the other point of which,
Yeah, are we sure that
we have to get them updated and on there. She only has to
Yeah, I don't-
add,
you think they're on there now?
yeah, they are, but not the updated version.
Okay.
And also, at different town meetings, we've had people say, I wish I had seen the school budget before town meeting. That was when we were doing everything in print. Now that we moved electronically, and they said at that time, we'd like to see it electronically. So I sent an email over to Dan Hayes, and I said, Bob has raised his concerns about school choice money, and people have said they want to see that school budget, and it can be posted on the select board page, and Becky can do that. So I gave it to Dan to think about what they want to put out in front of people, along with these other documents. So that I've moved forward, and I should also probably ask the regional school to give us their electronic document for the budget. But those aren't our purview. These two things are ours, the capital plan recommendations and the reserve fund summary. And I think they should be capitalized, capital plan recommendations. And then reserve fund summary should also be. This is saying there's more information and detail, and it shows, this is a historical, these are historical documents. They show that we've been doing this for a while. It's why we're in good shape. Because we use our committees to tell us what's coming up and we work on it.
I have a thought. Well, I want to go back to OPEB at some point, but let's finish up with thoughts for the future, because I think OPEB is a thought for the future, but I think it should be addressed in OPEB. Because one of the things we talked about is we're going to continue to monitor, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Monitor funding need and may adjust funding in future.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there is a chance that the balance get so high that the interest income annually is enough.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
God, I hope so, let's hope so.
Yeah.
All right, so we got that in there. Okay.
One other, just a thought, I'm trying to think of
The future.
thoughts on the future. What about inflation? Should we as a finance committee be concerned about what's going on with inflation and how it could impact?
I don't think we,
I don't know, because I feel like those are, watch the stock market yo-yo. It's too, we're in a rapid change period and it doesn't change in only one direction. So,
yeah, I tend to agree. It's, our job is,
yeah, indicators, economic the economic.
well, what are we going to do?
Well,
differently?
I guess I'm looking at it from the perspective as we've seen a spike in inflation over the last, 6 months or whatever, and
Yeah,
and depending
We're
on who
definitely-
you, and it's going to continue for some period of time. And what impact could that have on our costs, our budget, the impact on our budget or capital?
But some of that is the COVID, the culture of COVID, and that we don't know where it will land. I mean, it's volatile because of things that we don't know how long it'll last.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if we put something out there, that's something that we as a finance committee are keeping an eye on, just to show, I mean, to me, it's,
Well,
We're
maybe
aware-
it's the
we're
economic.
aware of it. We're,
Yeah, I don't know. We do get a lot of comments from people. I know there's some people that, the tax bills are a burden, and I understand that and appreciate it. I don't know what we would do with this information, what are we, how are we trying to,
well, one thing is we've got a budget this year that we have a 1% increase
Right.
in a year, in a very inflationary year. So
our increase has been lower than inflation for the last 10 years.
yeah. So now it's dramatically below.
But I don't know that we actually have conversations in our meetings about inflation.
Well, we
other
did with
than-
the gas prices and the fuel prices. I mean, so we do pay attention to economic pressures. And we paid attention to what we thought would COVID, how to help prepare for COVID. So I just say, I mean, it seems redundant. It is part of our mission to pay attention.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So why is it different in the future?
Yeah, and I don't think we know the future.
Well, the difference is we're going through there's been a fundamental change at a macro, there's a macro level. At a macro level, there is a fundamental change and rates are going up.
But I think, Susie's
Salaries are going up and
maybe we just
costs in
call that-
general.
maybe we just call that, we are paying attention to economic factors.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm not trying to put fear in here at all. All I'm trying to say is the finance committee has different roles and we're on top of it. And sending that message sometimes could be reassuring if it's put in the right way.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a gray matter for me. I'm not sure.
So one of the things we see in our budget is that we did a market realignment for some salaries. And I saw some other town reported doing exactly the same thing. And we do that because we are living in an economic world and we have to meet economic pressures. And we spend time being aware of it. So I guess I just think it's being aware of economic factors in our world. Pressures or factors, just factors, because COVID was a big one. And we didn't have a lot of control over it. And we couldn't have predicted the kind of money that was going to roll out of the federal government and the state government. We couldn't do that. So we're just aware.
Yeah. Well, we did do some things. We basically had, we were in good shape with regard to cash reserves. And so if something unforeseen came along, which really didn't, we were ready. We were ready for it.
Mhm.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to make sure you guys are on board with that. I mean, to me, it's just,
I'm okay with it. I am, Jim. I was just
I
playing
think there's a
devil's
lot of news
advocate.
out there. People are thinking about it. And I think just some kind of a message saying, hey, we're on top of this.
No, I'm fine with it. I am fine with it. I like that wording. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I was just playing devil's advocate and, you know, as Susie said, we always did those things. So it was a little redundant, but you know, I'm comfortable with saying continue to consider economic factors.
Yeah,
impacting
and that,
the town.
and I agree with you. We always have, but sometimes maybe the town might need to.
I think it's a good message. I do think it's a good message. I'm on board.
Two things. I don't know if we want to put in B, town and taxpayers. I mean, this is the us and them thing is not what I want to reflect. So when I say the town, I mean all of us in all the ways that we intersect. But the word taxpayer is another
Where do you see the
possibility.
word taxpayer?
You could put it in there and B.
Oh, yeah, you know, when I says impact town, it's the community. And
Yeah.
I also want people to think about, this is just me personally, when you're thinking about the town's budget, it's your budget. It's our budget. It's the
Right.
community's budget. So
We're the
when I say town, it encompasses everything.
Yeah. What about saying community for once instead of town? Impacting our community. Maybe that will be, because I do think some people view some kind of split and I don't agree with it, but. And then how about this 94%? Is that true?
Wait, hold, Susie. Whoa, slow down. So
Okay.
Jim, what do you think of B? So Jim, what do you think of B?
I liked B. I thought town was okay. I could live with community. Is that what you mean? Is that what you're asking?
I'm wondering what, yeah. Communities, I don't know.
I felt, I guess, a little more comfortable with town. I think that this,
You want to bring it to the, what do you think? Are you bring it to the FinCom or, because I'm kind of thinking town, Susie, community. I mean, I understand it, and I think of town as community. I just don't know if I want to say that. How about?
I can say that people are viewing a split between town and taxpayers. And I think community is less.
Right, community brings those two things into the same umbrella.
Yeah.
All right, I'll leave it. Let's see, you know, let's just point out this line to the FinCom tomorrow night and just let them know that we added this line because we thought it was important that people know this.
Mhm.
Market analysis is certainly one example of it. How we calculate COLAs is another example of it.
Right.
Long range planning, and see what they think of the word community. See if anybody reacts to it. If nobody says anything about it, it sticks. If somebody sees and says, well, what does that mean? Then we can have the conversation.
Okay.
All right.
And number I, is it really 94% of Shutesbury?
Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad you asked because I was going to bring that up so we could look at that.
yeah, that's easy. That's an easy one.
Yeah, no, I've got it actually in the pie chart under revenue.
75.8.
Well, you're faster than I am. What did you say?
It's 75.8 down here. I'm pointing to the screen.
No, well, so it's not 75.8 because it's really just these two items.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So if you look down here, I've actually made the calculation
Okay.
and it is 94 and 6.
yeah. And what I did last year,
Oh,
I went to the most, all that data, the state has reams of data.
wait a minute. Okay, so now I gotta look at what the bullet point says, because I don't understand.
The
It's
75.8 is total revenue from taxes relative to all revenue. But when you're looking at
Right.
property taxes, what's the breakout between commercial
oh,
and residential?
okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and what I did last year, I went online to get the total across the state.
Right.
And it was 82% a year ago. I can double check to see if it's changed at all this year.
All right, I'll leave it. If I hear from you, I'll change
Yeah.
it. But if I don't, it's just going to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it now. I just misplaced the,
So what do we think about school costs?
yeah, that deletes, done. Take out 2. And the regional school OPEB and employee health insurance.
I
Oh,
think
from
there's
the
other things.
region. Yeah, from the region. Right, that's true. And ongoing office grants. I guess that's it. I don't know if they are still having
Well-
to adjust the school costs because of that.
So sixth graders are moving to the region,
Not ours.
not ours, but it's happening. It could affect school costs, could it not? What are other things that could affect school costs in the future? Operating loss on grants for early childhood, the regional school.
Their building, their old building.
What about Bob's question about school costs and the use of choice money?
The use of what?
Examining the use of choice money, examining use policy for expending use choice. I'm sorry, school choice.
I think,
That is what's going on, right? The
It's
school.
it's an issue that Bob is going to keep talking about. It's definitely a thought for the future because there are members on the finance committee that I personally was not really satisfied with the response we received from the school committee about a policy for this.
they haven't gotten there yet. I can tell you that from sitting through with them. And so so that Bob comes to us about it, it has to go to the school committee. They understand the parameters and they have the purview and they need to come up with it, and they didn't come up with it yet. If they maybe hadn't changed their business manager in the middle of this year, it might have been able to move forward, but it's really the chair of the school committee who needs to put it on their agenda and get a subcommittee or whatever.
And
to
I
work.
understand that, Susie. I do. I'm just, is it something we're going to be considering in the future? Whether it's us or anybody else. I mean, obviously the school has full autonomy on this. I know they do. But it does impact school costs. And they're working with us. I mean, we've had a good working relationship with the school for quite a number of years. I mean, since Jen and can't believe it, and Jackie have been working in the school. We've had a good relationship with them. So we are working with them, but it is, I don't know. I think maybe.
So it could be the possible impact, the possible use of, or possible application of school choice funding to the budget.
Or, yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a big effect, but to the budget.
I know, to the budget. All right. Okay. All right. I'm fine with that.
And in fact, Amherst Regional does apply that money, and they have their rationale for it, and they do it.
Yeah,
What we
so do
don't
the other
have
towns
is-
around us.
And what we don't have is known at the elementary level.
So yeah, you're just thinking of, wordsmithing here. It says application of school choice funds. What we're really looking for, are we really looking for a process? Like the school committee needs to come up with a process, right? On how they allocate.
manage school choice funds.
Yeah.
For me, it's a policy, but you
Yeah.
know, Jen said.
Or
I don't
policy,
consider-
process or policy.
Maybe you can just say policy of
Yeah.
school choice funds to the budget,
Yeah.
to use in the budget.
Yeah. And that's really the ball's in the school committee's choice to come up with that.
Mhm. So maybe it should say school committee policy of use of choice funds in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they said they are working on it. They've had priorities and they haven't finished it.
Mhm.
Um,
Can
But
change
it's
it.
something, but if, and the thoughts for the future section, I think that seems appropriate since
Right.
it's,
Right,
Okay, good. Yeah, I feel like we should have more than just one, two things because the schools are so big and there's so many issues. Any,
Well-
you know, and we already addressed that
I think the
Should-
regional school building, the middle school building is going to be another one. So,
yeah, and how about this one too? Continue maintenance of the school building. Let's put it under school costs.
yeah. Yeah, pull it out of there.
A
and put
second
it
here.
in
Okay,
there.
give me 1 second. I will do it. I got to change my letters again.
I
all right.
know.
I know.
I don't know how old the Arms building is, the middle school building, but it is, I think I told you, they have a leaky roof and they have special ceiling tiles that they put up that are funnels connected to a tube to a bucket throughout the school. That's
Wow.
that's how bad they're leaking. Makes our
Hmm.
leaks look small.
I'm just whipping this down because it's what I'm thinking of, but feel free to change it.
Yeah. That's good.
I don't know about you, but it's getting late.
Yeah.
I guess we're just about there.
Did you have other plans for today, George?
Oh, it's beautiful outside, so I'm hoping
I'm
to.
looking out the window right now.
Yeah, it's looking all right.
It's looking
I
pretty
think we-
damn good.
I think we've really improved it this year. I'm happy about that. It takes time and we did it. So,
Yeah. I agree.
I think Jim's point about tomorrow night, an hour wouldn't have been enough. I think this proved it.
Right.
And it looks pretty good. So I'm going to send this to you. As soon as I get the
Good.
budget from Becky, I'm going to update these
Yep.
charts at the top
okay. Well, by
and
having
check
another-
this math. And then I'm going to send it to both of you. So you'll get it today.
Oh, can you scroll down just a little bit? There was a wrong FY year on one of these. Keep going. Oh, you fixed it. Okay.
Okay, yeah, in this FY2, the FY22 budget.
Right.
And that'll give us plenty of time for the 2 or 3 of us to go through it and see if there's anything else we,
Yeah.
We uncover.
Right,
you know.
right. And then Jim, would you, as we get closer to the meeting tomorrow night, send it to the whole committee?
Sure.
Give
Yes.
them a chance to read through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So-
yeah, if you're going to get that to us tonight, give us some time into the morning to look for anything that might look out of whack for us.
Yeah, it
If I
comes
don't hear
down to,
anything, then by sometime in the afternoon, I'll forward it to the team.
Yeah.
All right.
it's going to come down to when Becky gets the budget to me. And so what I'm going to do is, if I don't hear from her by 3 o'clock, she's going to hear from me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can catch her before I'll catch her.
Yeah.
Okay, this was really
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
Good
it too. I
discussion.
think it looks great. And I'm really happy that we're able to fund the library and the school roof. And honestly, I didn't think the library was only going to impact us by $120, which, by the way, one thing I meant to show you, just so you both see it and understand it, is this right here.
Is that a little chart?
So this is something we got from Mark Carrion. I forget his first name.
Joe?
Joe Markarian, where we put in, this
Oh,
is the
yeah,
F, that's the amount required on the recap for FY '22. That's the estimated value of property. That's our tax rate this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a copy of it and I said, okay, if debt service is 110,625, and there's our assessed value, then that's the 455 additional increase in the tax rate at our average tax property value of 269. That's where I got the 122.50.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And that 110,625 comes from this debt service schedule. It's the first year's debt. I also, you should see this too, and then I promise I'll let you go. One thing that nobody's talked about, but I took a quick look at, was Becky sent the 20-year debt service. The bank also calculated a 15-year debt service,
Mm-hmm.
which looks like this. And the total cost is $350 versus total cost of $486 over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we're adding an additional $136,000 in interest over the life of the loan
Mm-hmm.
because we want to go as far as we can to make sure that future residents pay for the library, and also to keep the costs down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 129 versus 110 in year one would increase that 122, obviously. So another thing for both of you to be aware of, let's not even go there, but if it comes up, we can address it. Interest rate, effective interest rate on both of these is 4%.
So
Would
kind
the
of,
rate be the same for the lower, for the 15? It wouldn't be lower?
Looks
for the
like it
15?
is.
Hmm?
Yeah, it looks like they're using the identical rates, 5%, and then 32.5. Oh, well, and they go 37.5 here, huh? So
Yeah.
it is slightly higher for 20-year note than it is for the,
so the ideal is to use the 20-year note and have the fundraising pay it off faster.
yeah, that would be nice. What do we think we can really get from fundraising?
Once there's a real project that it's a real thing, we expect some will be more and some will be less, because for some people, what they've been contributing is what it's going to cost as an increase on their taxes. But it just depends. There's a lot of stuff going on.
There is. We'll have to just see how it goes. All right.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you all.
Good
Okay.
meeting. We'll
Yeah.
see
See you
you
tomorrow.
all tomorrow evening.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if you see anything
Six.
else on this, if you see anything else that needs adjusting, just send me an email.
Yep.
okay, we will.
Will
Okay.
do.
See you
Thank
tomorrow.
you. Thank you all.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Bye-bye.
You all have a good one.
You too.